Vekoma was a joke among coaster enthusiasts for many years, but something happened over the past decade. They improved their track fabrication, so their rides are now some of the smoothest in the industry. And they hired a new designer who has made action-packed layouts. So now, the company is churning out really good coasters, particularly overseas. So in this video, I will rank my top 30 roller coasters from this Dutch manufacturer. Before starting the countdown, I need to note that I have not been to several of the Asian countries where the newer Vekomas are found, like China. Fortunately, I have ridden most of their other major coasters. The one other notable exception is Thunder Coaster at Tussenfried. Additionally, I have reviews published for many of the rides on this list if you want more in-depth thoughts, including everything in the top 15. Number 30. Blue Hawk at Six Flags Over Georgia. This is essentially one of their SLCs, just in sit-down form. Thankfully, it is a lot more comfortable than most. It is jerky, but the vest restraints make this tolerable. The positive G's in the butterfly inversion at the start are immense, then the corkscrews later in the ride are disorienting too. And there are a lot of great head choppers along the way too. Number 29. Phoenix at Dino's Wonder Wheel Park. This custom suspended coaster is smooth and does a really good job in the positive G department. The two overbanks in the middle of the ride are very powerful up front, including one that feels darn close to an inversion. Meanwhile, the final turns offer more oomph in the back. This ride is just missing a good drop, but it's otherwise smooth and appeasing to all. Number 28. The 453 meter long suspended family coaster. Examples include Orkanen at Fairhope Summerland and Dragonflyer at Dollywood. This one does the one thing Phoenix does not. It has a good drop at the start that goes into an underground or underwater tunnel. Then you have an intense overbank that also feels like it inverts you. The rest of the ride is a series of graceful and fluid turns with a pinch of force. Number 27. Booster Bike at Toverland. This company's original motorbike coaster has had a lot of downtime in my visits to this Dutch park, but it's still smooth after 2 decades of operation. The launch, which is actually a hydraulic one, has a good kick to it. Then the layout stays relatively low to the ground to keep the speed going, which is very enjoyable in that motorbike position. Number 26. Mammut at Gardaland. This is one of the most criminally underrated mine trains out there. It's a knockoff Big Thunder Mountain. This is a long coaster with 3 lift hills that winds around and through a snowy mountain. You have some okay turns, plus a few surprise pops of airtime. This is not as smooth as Vekoma's newer coasters, but it's far from uncomfortable. Number 25. Roller Coaster Mayan at Energylandia. This ranking applies to any of the newer SLCs with the vest restraints. The track work still isn't perfect, but it is significantly more comfortable than the older SLCs. These rides won't beat you to a pulp anymore, so it's possible to appreciate the rapid blitz of inversions that toss your body about. Number 24. Wild Mouse at Idlewild. This company's only Wild Mouse rides unlike any other out there, but it's one of the best rides of its kind. It starts with a tilted lift hill that goes back to its Wiener Prater days. Then the layout has a lot more variety. It has plenty of lateral inducing turns and dips with some airtime, but they're not in the usual order, and they also have more power than usual. Just watch out for this ride's final brake run. It is a doozy. Number 23. Bandit Bomber at Yas Waterworld. This is an odd, one-of-a-kind inverted coaster. It's the only splash party out there from Vekoma. The on and off board water effects were broken in my visit, but this ride still offered an enjoyable experience weaving past the central mountain and the park's water slides, and there were 2-3 solid dips as well that sneak up on you. Number 22. Xpress Platform 13 at Walibi Holland. One of the best parts about this ride is the queue line. It's themed to a haunted subway, and it's a pseudo-haunt with some jump effects. The ride itself is rock and roller coaster, just outdoors. The initial launch is decent, and the first 2 inversions are forceful, but the rest of the ride does a lot of meandering. Thankfully, the ride is smooth despite the time period when it was manufactured. Number 21. Rock and Roller Coaster at Disney's Hollywood Studios and Walt Disney Studios. This is Xpress but placed in a box. You have a pre-show and some great onboard audio from Aerosmith. Then the layout is masked by some effects, which helps for the meandering bits. Paris had a series of disorienting strobe lights, whereas Florida has you whizzing past signs and billboards. both have their strengths. Number 20. Giant inverted Boomerangs. And I have to say this, that run the original trains. The now defunct Goliath at Six Flags New England was wretched with those premier trains. The old Vekoma ones offer a nice ride experience. These rides are intense. The vertical lift has some freaky visuals, and the initial drop is a great freefall. Then you have 3 positive G heavy inversions, and they're extra dizzying going backwards. The Cobra Roll may bash your head lightly, but the rest of the ride is smoother than you'd expect for this type of ride. Number 19. Big Thunder Mountain at Tokyo Disneyland. This is the weakest of the Disney mine trains. You have the same beautiful mountain the track goes through and around, but for whatever reason, this one just doesn't have the same power. It doesn't have the airtime pops you get in the others, and the laterals are not quite as abrupt. It is smooth at least. Number 18. Nighthawk Carowinds. The prototype Flying Dutchman does a lot well. The layout has some very strong positive Gs in the turns and valleys, and they get even stronger in the vertical loop. I love that element. Most of this coaster is comfortable, but there's a notable exception. The final 2 corkscrews. They can really shake you up. Number 17. Firehawk at Kings Island and Batwing at Six Flags America. This is Nighthawk with 2 key changes. First, the 2 corkscrews are replaced by inline twists. These are far more comfortable, and the rapid spin tries to spike you into the ground. 2. There are 2 bonus elements. You have a forceful final helix and a 180-degree flip going into the brakes. Number 16. Megablitz at Wiener Prater. This might as well be called Helix the Ride. You have 3 long and forceful helixes, with the first being particularly intense. It's a true gray out moment as the ride pulls nearly 5 Gs. Then there are 2 steep drops towards the start that offer a bit of floater airtime to complement those positives. Number 15. Goudurix at Park Asterix. For years, I heard this coaster was one of the roughest and most painful in the world. But those who rode it in 2019 like me, said it was riding much smoother for some reason, so I actually liked this ride. It had barely any headbanging, so not only were the inversions tolerable, but they were genuinely great. They had some incredible power, especially because they were all chained together. Number 14. Colorado Adventure at Phantasialand. This mine train is deceptively wild and back. There, you have some surprise drops to try to chuck you from your seat. And that's not all. There's also an indoor section in near total darkness with some nice positive Gs and laterals. You cannot see them coming. There's plenty of scenery too as you head through caves and past theming, especially because it creates some wonderful head choppers. Number 13. Expedition Everest at Disney's Animal Kingdom. This mine train variant takes place in one of the most iconic theme park mountains ever. Notice the theme with the Disney parks? It is stunning. And you have the massive Yeti on the inside as well. Even in disco mode, it still looks incredible. Then the coaster is good too. The largest drop is decent in the back rows. Then the positive forces may surprise you. You get pretty good Gs on the outdoor helix, but the star is the enclosed backwards helix. That element is shockingly intense for a Disney park. It'll really make you dizzy. Number 12. Muntanya Russa at Tibidabo. This ride may have the best views of any coaster. Perched atop a hill, you get a stunning vista of Barcelona down below. Then the rest of the ride winds past trees. This layout has no airtime, but it does a surprisingly good job in the positive G department. The pullout from the first drop and the helix by the station pack on some serious forces. And this ride is super smooth too, although that never really was an issue with this company's family coasters. Number 11. F.L.Y the Great Nor'easter at Maurice Piers. This is the king of the SLCs for 3 key reasons. 1. It has the vest restraints to eliminate headbanging. 2. The ride received a near full retracking a few years ago that has it running fairly smoothly. Still some light jerks and transitions, but overall very tolerable. 3. This ride has some terrifying near misses as the inversions wrap around water slides and amusement rides. All this makes the rapid blur of snappy inversions enjoyable for once. Number 10. Loup-Garou at Walibi, Belgium. This is the only Vekoma wood coaster I've experienced. This company did not build many of them, but this one showed some promise. The layout is quite good. There are some great drops in the back car with some really good airtime, but if you want a smooth ride, this is not the ride for you. It is very bumpy. The cushiony trains mitigate this issue for me and absorb the blows, but it may not be enough for some. Number 9. Big Thunder Mountain at Disneyland Paris. This is my favorite mine train coaster anywhere. Per usual, the layout takes place and through the picturesque mountain. The main layout has turns and helixes with good laterals, and multiple dips giving good pops of airtime, including one that's particularly strong. What makes this Big Thunder Mountain so special is its location. The mountain is on an island, so you have these long dark underground tunnels going there and back, and the sense of speed down there is fantastic. Number 8. Formula at Energylandia. This was one of the most important rides for Vekoma. It was the culmination of improved engineering and manufacturing. This ride is on the shorter side, but it has everything else. It has a decent launch, the big Immelman and low turns have good positive Gs, the 2 corkscrews are snappy, and there are some airtime hills that'll pop you out of your seat. This is both a well-paced and glass-smooth ride. Number 7. Star Wars Hyperspace Mountain at Disneyland Paris. This is the most intense coaster Disney has ever built. It starts with a great launch. It's thematic between the audio and canon, and it has some sneaky force because it needs to go uphill. Then you have several great elements. There are forceful turns, a super strong sidewinder, a few airtime moments, and a corkscrew while TIE fighters shoot at you. On that note, most of the experience takes place in a dark starfield, but there are some additional screens plus fun onboard audio. The ride jostles quite a bit, but the vest restraints prevent any headbanging, just watch your elbows. Number 6. Hals-uber-Kopf at Tripsdrill. The prototype suspended thrill coaster or STC has a well-rounded layout for an invert. The drop and 4 to 5 bunny hills all offer airtime pops you rarely get from this type of ride. Then you have the usual inversions in force. All 3 inversions are floaty and the turns hit you with positive Gs. And this ride also some neat visuals with a family boomerang running beneath you. Number 5. Abyssus at Energylandia. This multi-launch coaster does a little of everything. The first half is the appetizer with an okay initial launch and a little floater airtime. The second launch is quite lackluster, but the rest of the ride delivers. The top hat has a trim on it, but you get strong ejector airtime in the back. Then there are several other hills with good airtime pops as well. Then there are some moderately forceful and floaty inversions for variety. All these elements were supposed to be paired with some great aquatic theming, but this part isn't yet complete. Number 4. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind at Epcot. This Disney World park took nearly 4 decades to get its first coaster, but it's certainly got a winner. This is an immersive ride start to finish. After a series of pre-shows, you board a prototype spinning coaster ride system from Vekoma. These ones don't spin freely, rather they rotate at predetermined points to emphasize certain ride or story elements. The ride is pure chaos and fun. I think it's Disney's best paced coaster. You have a fun launch at the start, followed by a long layout with some airtime pops and some fairly forceful turns. Then you also have the environment of Space Mountain, plus some giant video screens to progress the story. Lastly, you have onboard audio that just adds an overwhelming sense of joy. Number 3. Phoenix at Fair Summerland. The first Wildcat layout is a very well paced ride. There is not a dull moment. There are over a dozen airtime hills, mostly floater, but they occur in rapid fire succession. The best airtime by far occurs in that first drop if you're in the back. But the highlights are the inversions. The stall loop offers several seconds of hang time. Then the high-speed barrel roll and corkscrew offer fantastic whip and laterals. The latter is especially sweet because it charges through the station. This ride is light on the positive Gs, but it's big on the fun. Number 2. Lech Coaster at Legendia. This is one of the best rides in the world for positive Gs by contrast. I grade out repeatedly from the forceful valleys and intense inversions. The best example of this was the Sidewinder inversion at the start. The other 2 inversions are more about whip, but they're still great, particularly the corkscrew that goes through the station. Then the ride throws in plenty of airtime too. You have a super steep twisting plunge with ejector airtime and laterals. Then the other hills offer brief but strong negative Gs. And coming in at number 1 is F.L.Y at Phantasialand. The prototype next generation flying coaster is a masterclass at blending thrills and theming. Rookburg is stunning, and it's magical flying through it. Not only are the visuals awe-inspiring, but it also hides what comes next. This coaster has some very intense valleys and turns, particularly in the back row. Then there are also several airtime pops, which is both weird and fun to experience in the flying position. Last but not least, you have 2 floaty inversions smartly woven in. This is such a well-paced ride that kept me engaged start to finish. It's why it's one of my favorite coasters. So those are the top 30 roller coasters from Vekoma that I've personally experienced. What are your favorite coasters from this Dutch manufacturer? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this countdown, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.